Which is that's like reasonable. I'll still live in a single bedroom apartment though, so I'll be living like a college student. Oh, I'm just gonna be living out in LA, living grand, in a nice single bedroom apartment.
There you go.
Yeah.
You have a name from some of these? You put our names on? I guess so. Oh, it's fine.
So how we been?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I was
deceased.
Tuesday.
You're deceased?
Tuesday was bad.
Dude.
I woke up, I went through the motion for the first couple
Yeah,
hours.
actually-
I was like,
Real quick, put it in the back. Go take what you want.
Thank you.
What's available?
So one day.
I'll try.
I don't think you, but I had the TM. Oh, can I?
If you want to talk about the closing service.
Oh yeah, I can talk about dancing. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so basically we have the awards. So the
Oh,
end
yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
this.
Okay,
So
okay.
the awards, but then we're just gonna kind of talk about the end.
For sure.
A really nice picture.
2.
Hey yo, we dancing. That's good.
Yeah, we'll give, do you want to do the closing ceremony?
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
We can do that.
Wait, what were, it was most outstanding
Check 1,
leader
2.
and most
It's gonna
outstanding
be on the
program.
slideshow. Yeah.
Okay, that just was right. Trying to remember.
Well, it says outstanding government achievement of the year.
Oh, achievement.
Hello, John. What was the decision? It was a good one.
Firehouses.
Yeah.
Why is the Wi-Fi not
Same
working?
price. I did the math. It's actually good for firehouses.
Oh, well.
Their organizations.
Check 1, 2.
They claim to do all this cool stuff for fire departments.
Yeah.
They don't. They do some of it, but it's like,
Check 1, 2.
that's not what they claim. It's not like flyers. Yo, yes, that's true. This is dropped off like my dad when they start up. So we don't go there.
Does Jimmy John's do anything for fire department? No. They don't do
They
anything.
do Jimmy
right?
John. It's better.
But their bread is like always like mad.
Jimmy John's? Yeah, I only
You
go to
gotta
Jimmy
try
John's.
Firehouse, man, before you shoot on it, bro.
I only go to Jimmy John's.
Really?
And plus, you can go there the day after and get dollar bread for like their day old bread.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, Dale bread is so good for that. Bread toast. Like this is bread.
The old bread is so good. I'm upset.
Oh,
Thank you, Alex. I was happy with that idea.
You're welcome.
I'm not buying it, I have to use it.
Yeah, I can't even get the freaking Wi-Fi to work.
Thank you so much. I love it too. It's like a cute reminder.
Hi, guys.
Like, what did you think? I'm sorry.
Today, yes, because I had pizza for lunch, so.
Oh, I had enough for lunch, before lunch.
We thought it all. Oh, we're five.
Lila, this is how it got changed.
Got another one right here.
Okay. That's what he. His committee's off.
Oh, this.
I saw it.
Yes, I can.
Okay, it was literally just right here.
Yeah, hey, Lila, motion to split that time between Tasha and EPC.
Second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we just go long.
Oh, no, we have an event that's. Don't actually make a motion on the floor. What?
Committee meeting project X.
They are, but it looks like it's just.
I just need to.
What? Right. I'm trying to get rid
Oh, good. Do that, that's what I said. Please do that. Because, we need more time for that.
Well, no. This one has cheese on it.
Well, it's not. I'm going to sleep.
Anyone want to drink?
Is it wine? Nah, not good, thanks.
Okay.
Since that. Today.
But all of us information still says that. So it's just like stuff. And so it's- the very.
I will. So it looks like you. Yeah, I'll do it.
You look so happy. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at the screen.
Yeah, so it looks like you have the structure.
It's slowly in my head. so
Everyone's looking at it.
I have requesting access to the presentation, set like that. Good way to do that. Or a good way to get into the concert.
Yeah, there's gonna say something.
So I hear there's a couple of cheers.
What do you say?
Oh.
Keep saying that. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm good, man.
I think I have one guy that you
Dude, my brain does it like, it wants to say it the wrong way. I'm like, I don't know why.
I was gonna think about it right now.
That'd be a great time.
Oh no, my brain's like, say Layla, but it's not.
He's online here. Chris is joining virtually.
I've heard your name so much.
Okay, all right, let's see me.
I know somebody who named their kid. They're talking about what their name
You were
is.
here,
And they're like, my wife and I really like to say Layla. And my brain goes, that's not a name. What is that?
Is it Layla more popular than Lila? I think I've always pronounced it Lila.
Come on, time is expired, no sé. Deben buscar.
In the 1 minute we have before our meeting starts, if you are a graduating senior and did not fill out the form for your commencement accessories, could you please tell me now?
Wait, where does this go?
I don't know.
Where does it connect?
Impeach.
Wait, wait.
Griff is just the right color.
That one was you.
He's the face.
Oh, that was it? Oh. Where can I see it?
Okay, everything's good.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, mine's so good.
All right, everybody, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. We're going to go right into our agenda of approving the joint session of legislature meeting minutes from March 2nd. Is there a motion? Motion to approve. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there consent? Do we?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought I counted.
I haven't officially counted yet. If you've got an unofficial count, go for it.
I have non-official count. If anything, we can go back and undo that.
Sure.
It'd say it's null and void. Is there consent? Consent has been called. Is there any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that motion carries. Moving into approval of the agenda. Before there is a motion to approve the agenda, I want you all to be aware that there have been some changes to the agenda since it has been sent out this morning. There has been numerous last minute details and such that has been added. So of note, under new business, we have added the Mental Health Week spending bill, the Mental Health Week formal partnerships memorandum of agreement, and graduate recognition. Those will all be shared with you previous to discussion and voting, so you will have a chance to read everything. So with that being said, if there are no objections, we can move into a motion to approve the agenda as it currently stands. We didn't even make a motion. You can't object. What amendment would what amendment would you like to propose?
I would like to strike maybe breakouts from the record and split that time in between the EPC and the COSCA.
There is a motion to amend the agenda to strike committee breakouts from the agenda and split that time between COSCA debriefing and EPC review. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there consent? Is there any opposition? I can't see the chat. So could somebody look in the chat for me on Zoom? Thank you, Alex.
Can you please send the attendance?
For anybody that is online, there is not attendance link. We are taking attendance manually as you join the Zoom. Where were we? All right, there was consent to pass that motion. Seeing no objection, that motion will pass. All right. The agenda has been amended so that the EPC review shall carry 15 minutes of time and the COSCA debrief shall carry 23 minutes of time. With this amended agenda, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there consent? Consent has been called. Is there any opposition? I see another thing in the chat. I just don't know if it's related to. Nope. All right, then, hearing and seeing no objections, the agenda has been approved. Which means we can go into communications. We have our recognition of Women's History Month. I pulled this off of womenshistorymonth.gov, so if it's not reliable, I don't know what would be. And I quote, Women's History Month had its origins as a national celebration in 1981 when Congress passed Public Law 97-28, which authorized and requested the President to proclaim the week beginning March 7th, 1982 as Women's History Week. Throughout the next 5 years, Congress continued to pass joint resolutions designating a week in March as Women's History Week. In 1987, after being petitioned by the National Women's History Project, Congress published Public Law 100-9, which designated the month of March 1987 as Women's History Month. Between 1988 and 1994, Congress passed additional resolutions requesting and authorizing the President to proclaim March of each year as Women's History Month. Since 1995, presidents have issued a series of annual proclamations designating the month of March as Women's History Month. These proclamations celebrate the contributions women have made to the United States and recognize the specific achievements women have made over the course of American history in a variety of fields. So at this point, I'll open up the floor. If anybody, if either individual or an RSO celebrated Women's History Month and would like to share that, feel free to take that time to do so now. Or if you want to just shout out a woman in history that has had influence either on you or deserves a shout out, feel free to do that as well. So with that, the floor is open. If you're in person, raise your hand, I'll run a mic over to you. If you're online, raise your virtual hand and we'll call on it. I'll shout out Amelia Earhart.
May she be found.
Anything anyone else wants to say? Hearing and seeing none, that concludes our recognition of Women's History Month. I don't know. Black History Month went way better. All right, with that being said, we can move into our first item, guest speakers. We have Dr. Barry Olson, Mr. Paul Terzino, and Mr. Chris Sly, all here to present on the new Student Center. Welcome you to take the podium. Thank you. And then I will get your presentation.
Okay.
Hello.
We're on, right?
Hello. Is this thing on?
Hey. It's like a comedy routine. Good to see you all face to face. It's wonderful to see you this part as well. It's great. Again, my name is Barry Olson. I'm an Associate Vice President for Campus Life for the Division of Student Affairs. So it's great to be here today, to this moment, to discuss our new Student Center. We hope that you are all as excited as we are, because it has been a labor of love, certainly much more for my good esteemed colleague Paul Terzino than I, because I've only been here for 6 months. Paul has been living this for the past few years. So we're so excited to see this project come to fruition. Both Paul and Chris have been active in the development of all of the concepts that you're going to see here tonight, as well as once those doors open. And so it's just great to be able to share that with all of you. So we have a concept that has been developed by our assessment, marketing, and communications team within the Division of Student Affairs, which is focusing on 3 words. Are you with me? Gather, play, connect. All right, so everything that we're going to talk about today really ties in with those 3 things, but say it with me. Gather, play, connect. Take that with you from this room and go and tell other people when they're like, hey, tell me more about this Student Center. You can say, gather, play, connect. Now you might go, I have no idea what the heck that means. That's what we're going to do tonight. And so Paul is going to talk through those concepts, but please know that this is a conversation. It's a dialogue. It's not just a straight up thing where we're like, okay, we'll walk out and then you could muster questions afterwards. This is a conversation. So if you have questions, stop us. Otherwise we'll just keep it rolling. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Okay. Thank you, Barry.
Also, real quick, YouTube, I have not seen Chris online yet.
Okay.
So Chris, when he joins in, he can jump into. Chris has been part of the core team with me since the inception. And we've been talking about a new Student Center for 10+ years. So this is not a new idea for us, but it's going to be a brand new experience for all of us on July 25th. keep that date in mind. Gather, play, connect. Okay, so some of you actually walked through the student center, didn't we? A couple weeks ago? Yeah. So you're kind of like guinea pigs because this is the first stop of our roadshow. We're taking this presentation to CAB, to GSA, to Faculty Senate, to APA, which is a staff organization. So we really want to get the idea of gather, play, connect out there as our 3 tag words to explain what's happening. Next slide, please, sir. There we go. So gather, we have all kinds of places where you can gather in the new building. And every day this looks more and more like this right now. Those of you who walked the building last week, you had a sense of this, the Cedar Heart, or the Heart rather, it's actually Hope. And this is one example of where you can gather, hang out with your friends, gather with other people on campus, other students, other staff, other faculty. Right here in the middle of the building, really connects the whole building. Next slide, please. So obviously gathering means meeting, and we have some really fantastic meeting space. This is a picture of our new ballroom, which is about the size of the South Ballroom up above us. So it's a good sized room. We have a lot of great student events in this space, from dinners to parties to banquets to dances, etc. Great views of campus. We also have about 12 other meeting rooms. We've got a lot of meeting space in the building. Not as much as in here, but we're going to make sure we still use it effectively and get you all in as we need to. Soon, RSOs will have a chance, probably not next week, the week after, to begin reserving rooms in the new building. So we have a new reservation system. It's single sign-on, SSO. So you just sign in with your property ID, and you can begin requesting space. So you, RSOs, if you're a member of an RSO, you'll hear about that very shortly. We'll get the word out via social media and other means. OLC will help us with that. So that's an example of another example of gathering. Obviously, next slide. What do we have on this thing? Oh, I just mentioned this. That's the link. If you went to that link, you could start taking a look at some of our reservation spaces. We have on that link some diagrams of some of the meeting rooms, the cost. So RSOs, just like here, we do not charge students to use space. The only exception is the ballroom, which we do here as well. So if you want to use the big ballroom, we do charge for that. As you do allocations, et cetera, you can keep that in mind. But for most of the part, we do not charge RSOs for the use of space. We do departments. Departments will pay for every single room they use in this building. Yeah. But RSOs will not. So you can start getting a little sneak preview if you go to the website of our new building. There's a date that says you can start reserving next week. That may or may not be. We'll let you know for sure. All right. Other examples of gathering. We have lots of food options. We'll look at that later. We have a prayer meditation room. So you could do yoga classes. You could hang out. You could pray, relax, meditate. That's a cool space in the building. The new student organization system, the new SOC, I call it SOC 2.0, is about 3 times as big as our current student work center. It's a great space. It has 20 fully enclosed offices. It has about 25 workstations. It has lounge space. Student media is there. So it's going to be a really dynamic spot. And it's unlike the current SOC, which is buried in the back of the BC. It's front and center. As you walk in the building, turn to your left, glass walls, it's right there. So it's right in your face as you walk in. This is the next slide. Play. Lots of opportunities to play in the building. Well-being is very important. We want you to feel relaxed. Students want you to have a place to hang out, to really blow off some steam and to play in the building. We got probably the coolest game room of any student center in the country. We have this huge game room, everything from board games, virtual reality, esports, console games, arcade games, billiards, ping pong, all in one big game room. And it's on the same level as all the food. Grab a pizza, grab Latin, go in, hang out in the game room, and free play for students. Staff know, it's a good theme. This is student focused, student friendly. Students are not going to pay to use the services for the most part in this building, in the game room is an example. But if you have an RSO and you want to rent the space, we can do that too. So we will have a fee for an RSO to have maybe a night, whether it's a recruitment event or if they just want to have some of the or all the game room themselves, we'll be able to do that as well. So another example of playing. Demonstration kitchen. So there is a demonstration kitchen in the fireplace lounge. You'll be able to see professional chefs provide you tips on how to make certain types of cuisine. That'll be fun. Speaking of that, the fireplace lounge, we have this really cool lounge on the 3rd level. Huge fireplace wrapped in marble or granite, I think. That's going to be a great hangout space for our students. Hammocks. You can't see very well, but there are hammocks. There we go. Yeah, there's a play. So you saw the hammock display upstairs. We have 3 different locations to bring a hammock, or we'll be able to provide them for you. So there's a great example. With the student art gallery, so we'll hang student art. Some other examples of how to play. There's some examples right there. Oh, you all helped select some of those. Anybody vote for quotes, inspirational quotes? Yes, we selected them all. We have 6 quotes that'll be placed throughout the building in vinyl letter, and 6 quotes that'll be in Braille. So it's kind of cool. We're kind of mixing it up. So you'll be seeing those as you walk in the building on July 25th. All right, next please. And connect. Obviously, we want every students to connect with each other, connect with faculty, staff. This is the place to do it. Get plugged into the community here in the Student Center. So I mentioned the Student Organization Center, a great place to connect. We have a commuter resource center with lockers and a sink and microwave. So you can, if you're commuting, you can throw items in the locker, lock it up, come back, heat up your lunch, etc. There's other ways to connect to resources. We have a lot of great resources in the building. Next slide. We have a FedEx in the building. So I know there's a FedEx down the street, but this is kind of like a satellite. Instead of walking all the way down there in the cold to the student center, you can have things printed, you have things shipped, you can have presentations made, banners made in the FedEx. PNC Bank, move over. You're used to that. Mentioned the Community Resource Center admissions. So if you remember your admission visits as an undergraduate student, all prospective students will start their tours in the new student center. So we have the Welcome Center, Bookstore, we have the lactation room on the 3rd level. Next slide. So food is obviously a very important part of any student center, especially ours. And we love our Bronco Mall, but it's just doesn't hit the mark for us. This is an example. So everything on the right side, that's all part of the new dining center. Think of Valley Dining Center light only that's not as big. But it's going to have all of these awesome concepts that will be in the building on the 3rd level. And then on level 1, by the game room, by the Mosaic Affinity Space, by the bookstore, etc. We have Fuego Verde, which is a Latin concept, My Pie, which is kind of like Blaze, and the Refresh Market. And if you've been to Core Life, we've got kind of a Core Life light concept back in the Refresh Market. And all of those, with the exception of, one second, a Starbucks, you can use your dining dollars at. So if you're in the meal plan, you can use your dining dollars to get a slice of pizza for you and your friends. Starbucks does not do that, but they still have the Starbucks card and the loyalty card you can use at Starbucks there. So that's pretty much a question. That was your question? Okay, good. You can see I've got ESPN. I can see what's going on. I don't remember any question.
So are those like Fuego Verde, are those like local stores, or is these like?
These are run by our dining services.
Our own concept.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They're made to look like their own. I mean, they're rented house, but it's not going to feel that way. And that's why we can use your dining dollars in. That's the advantage of having it run by us. Yep. One more slide. You can, and then these are some of the non-food services I've already talked about. Bookstore, obviously. Next slide. So you can follow us on various social media platforms. Please do that. We have in student affairs a marketing group that's really taken off. They're going to have some new leadership and done a lot of really fun stuff. Some cool TikToks. They're connecting with students on Instagram, etc. So if you can follow them, please do. You can find a lot of cool stuff happening, and you learn a lot more about the students if you follow us on those platforms.
Yeah, they've got, honestly, our social media has, it's taken, it's 100+% in that we didn't have it in October, and now we do. So I think there's some really cool images, cool concepts coming out of there, and clearly students have been biting. They all like it, so it's nice. So we're going to keep pushing in that vein. But yeah, big shout out to our assessment, marketing, communications team with Human Vision. They very much grabbed this by the horns. So.
Okay. That was a quick run through. Love to answer questions you have or get some concept.
If you're in person, raise your hand. If you're online, raise your virtual hand or put something in the chat.
Yes.
For just a quick question, like the room reservation stuff, do we have to be registered for the next academic year before we do room reservations, or can we do that now? Registration as an RSO and then.
You can do it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
With single sign, I recognize you as a student,
Yeah.
and then we'll connect you to an RSO once we get your request.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
So will the retail food options be available in the dining centers, or will they be available all around the building?
The retail, so the dining center on level 3 is for if you're residents on the residence dining program. Those are all upstairs. And the ones, so Fuego Verde will not be upstairs in the 3rd level. It's down in level 1. My Pie's level 1. It's kind of like a food court down level 1. Level 3 is kind of like a valley dining center.
They're all contained on.
Yep.
Question, so will all these concepts on the bottom floor, are we able to use our dining dollars in all of those or just
All but Starbucks.
all of it?
Yes. So you can use $9 in all the first level retail concepts at Starbucks. Do you have a comment question? Okay. Yes.
I just hear from like a lot of smaller RSOs that are concerned about getting space in the student center for their meetings.
Yes, and there's concern, probably so, because one thing we don't have as much of in this building is meeting space. We have 20 rooms in here, we have 12 there. But we do have 12 meeting rooms. We are adjusting our policies a little bit, our guidelines rather. So right now we allow 3-hour meetings, we'll allow 2-hour meetings, try to keep that a little shorter. We are going to make sure we turn over rooms real quickly. We are also going to work to find spaces, alternate spaces for you. So if an RSO can't get in, we will be a resource to help them find a room elsewhere on campus. That's going to be a challenge for us, but we're going to make sure we find ways to get RSOs to meet. There's also a lot of really informal gathering spots in the building. So if an RSO 8 people, they could meet on the gatherings. We have 2 studying lounges that, if it's not being used, you can have a small group meeting in the study room. So there's a lot of more options as far as informal gathering in the student center. So you're first.
I'm curious, so 20 rooms here. Well, yes. What, I guess, the student center square footage, is that bigger than this room or just?
No,
It's
so,
not.
yeah, it's not.
Okay, so I guess I was gonna ask what the motivation was.
Well, that's a good question. So the question was 20 here, 12 there, why? The square footage of this building is 235,000 square feet. The square footage next door is 162,000 square feet. So we're smaller. Now, if we're that much smaller, we're more efficient. The space next door is a lot more efficient, for one. Number 2, we decided to do things like add more lounge space. We have a much larger student organization center, but we had to give up on something, and that was meeting space. And one reason, this is a big campus. We got all kinds of buildings on campus. We have to not rely 100% on the new student center to provide space for you. And that's our job, to work with the academic side and other places on campus to make sure we can create that space for you. And it's expensive as heck. That's a $99 million building. So it's just adding space. We would love to have a huge ballroom, but it costs so much more money. So we landed on what we can afford. We thought was the best mix for students.
So the new student org center for meeting space, is the collaborative space in the main area able to allow student orgs to meet for their meetings in the org center?
You mean the SOC?
The SOC, yes. I know it's a lot of collaborative space.
Yes.
Is there a way to alter that? If we need shuffle it around to make it where if RSOs want to hold their meetings in that space, that.
The question is the SOC space, is it flexible enough to move furniture around?
Can I jump in on that one, Paul?
Go, Chris. Go, Chris.
Yeah, so Alex, to answer your question, there's a lot more lounge space in the building than the current building. Paul has the actual square footage and can jump in on the numbers on that. But when we did a scan of RSOs, the average size RSO is about is between 7 and 15 members. And so in a worst case scenario where there's not a meeting room available, there will be plenty of just kind of drop down lounge spaces for RSOs to kind of informally meet, hold their business, different things like that. Now, there are obviously some RSOs that are on the higher end of that. And so that's where we've got to work with you all on doing the scheduling. And so think, Paul, I'll pass it back to you, but we're talking about priority scheduling, which we've not had in the current building. And so it's going to be an experiment to try and figure it all out. But there's things that are going to look and feel a lot different than what you all currently are experiencing right now. I'll finish on this. We also need to remember as well that we're still going through a phase of COVID. And so there's a lot of institutional memory that has been lost because we really haven't had a full year of, doing programming on campus. And then now we're going into a new building and we're going to start over. So, but good, excellent questions. Hopefully that helps provide some context.
And I'd add in the new SOC, I think there's at least one grouping or two groupings kind of on the back where you can kind of gather. There's some tables you move around. When we get the building and we find we got some space, we need to buy a few more kind of tables on wheels and stuff. We'll be able to do that. So if we need some more flexibility, we'll do what we can within our budget. I got a little money to play with as far as that goes. To Chris's point, this first year is going to be, messy is the wrong word, it's going to be a learning experience for us. And I think once we get through this first year, we'll have a really good idea of how the SOC works and what the RSO needs are. So,
well, that's really where WSA comes in as a very helpful partner. You'll hear feedback, and I guess our goal is just that constant sharing and communication. If we can alter things that make sense operationally as well as for organizations, know that we're up.
you first,
I get Aaron.
So a question about the Student Organization Center. So how do organizations book a spot like right now?
Chris, you want to take that? How it works, book space in the SOC?
I'm sorry, one more time, I missed that question.
How do student orgs, RSOs book rooms, meeting rooms? Club rooms, office spaces in the new SOC?
Yeah, so on that, the RSO registration is live right now. So folks, every year, RSOs need to re-register every year. You all will do elections either in the fall or in the spring, different things like that. So we need to know who the primary contact is, if you change your advisor, different things like that. And so those RSO applications are open right now for the 22-23 academic year. And you can find that on Experience WMU. In terms of the RSO SOC office applications, those should be coming out later this week. So they're not live yet, but there's a pretty good return rate on our RSO newsletter. So we'll plan to put it up in there. We can partner with WSA and make sure that, especially on the House side, we're in assembly, sorry, but we can definitely, as you are a part of WSA, we will partner with them to make sure that the word gets out through them as well of when the RSO office applications are open, but it's not going to be open for 3 days. You'll have, some time to put those documents and things together.
Is there an order of kind of priority, I guess, when it comes to booking spaces in the student centers?
Question is there a booking order or priorities process?
Yeah, we want to see, so in that, yeah, thank you. So in that, the current SOC has 35, 36 spaces. The new SOC is going to be about almost 60, I think around 56. And so what we'll do, we've got to figure out, again, this is new for us, but we're trying to figure out will the supply exceed the demand? And we don't know that until the applications come in. So the first step is to get all the applications in and see if we have room. If we have room for everybody that applied, then we're good. If we don't, then that's where we'll begin to make some of the tougher decisions in who gets in and who doesn't in that sense. So the biggest thing will be there's a lot of prime. There are, I believe it's 20 fully enclosed offices. And so that's going up from our current 5 that aren't even fully enclosed. And so we anticipate that there will be some demand from there. But what we'll do is look to make sure that we want to make sure that there's it's an equitable process. We want to make sure that there's a spread across our RSO student life, our campus life. So, and just I'm not picking on Greeks, but just as an example, if they wanted to have their council office, yeah, we probably would do that. But if we saw one particular council with 10 of them wanting their own individual spaces, it would be hard for us to do that because then that's going to hurt other areas of campus. So hopefully that's a safe enough example to explain that we need to A, figure out who's applying, look at what we've got, and then B, make sure that it's still representative across campus. So did that answer the person's question?
I think to a point, I think the other question was about meeting space. So, thanks, Chris. If there's a question about, is there a priority process for RSOs to reserve meeting space? There wasn't until the new student center. So what we're doing is RSOs, for this year, you'll be able to start reserving space hopefully next week, if not the week after. Departments not until the summer. So RSOs is the first opportunity to reserve meeting space in the new building. When we start getting into a rhythm, it'll probably something like March 1st to 15 will be RSO's chance to reserve space for the next year. After that, departments, after that, it's open to anybody. So there is a priority spec process now.
Follow up to that.
Both you follow?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it by semester as it is now, like you have to reserve semester by semester?
No, you can reserve the whole year. So if you had a standing meeting, you can do it for spring, for fall and spring.
Just want to confirm, we live in Michigan with winter weather. What?
I've heard.
Yeah. All the meeting spaces will be flex capable, right? So we can have hybrid meetings in them.
Yes, exactly. So every room meeting will have this, but much better. Every meeting room has built-in cameras and audio and video, so you can do hybrid meetings and all that.
Yeah.
Is there a follow-up question?
I was gonna ask if it's gonna be called the SOC.
Yes, Chris, do you want to address it? It's called the SOC right now, right?
Yeah, go ahead. What's the question? Yep.
It's still, we're still calling it the SOC, the new SOC, what I call SOC.
That's that's where we're at. Sorry, I've got other people asking me questions about this as well. So yes, that's still the plan. That's still the plan.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take one more question because we're running short on time.
Who's a lucky one? Alex.
Alex.
Off topic of meeting rooms, I was just thinking about this, like in Texas, this past weekend, you're playing cornhole. Is there a way to get cornhole on our patio space in the?
I see WCA buying cornhole and branding it as the WCA cornhole game. So, okay. Yes, we will make cornhole happen.
All right, perfect.
I want my dartboard.
I'm winning that first cornhole tournament.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Gauntlet thrown.
We did some training in Texas. Yeah. Beware.
Well, know this, we sure appreciate the opportunity to connect with you all, and this doesn't have to be the last time, obviously. You know where to find us. You find Paul here, you find me in Founts, but soon we'll be over at that building as well. So we're just a call or an email or I guess a signal away. You just let us know.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
All right, we're gonna move into the next item on our agenda, which is Dance Marathon and WMU's collaboration request for $3,000. Lauren, I believe this is you. So I'm gonna spotlight you real quick. Feel free to give a little presentation about what your funding is for, why we should fund you, and then we'll do a Q&A.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry if my voice cracks out. I was sick last week, so I did have a presentation, but I can just kind of give you a brief overview of what Dance Marathon is. So basically what Dance Marathon is it's an annual event that we hold here at Western Michigan University. And so what we do is we fundraise money for Helen DeVos Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids. And so I can also send like a itinerary or schedule what we'll be doing for this year's Dance Marathon. It'll look a little bit different just because, COVID year impacted us a little bit. So our fundraising is down. But the main reason why we need funding from WSA is because we are a nonprofit organization, since we are mainly just fundraising money for children in hospitals. And so we want to have stuff like, tents, food, and like water our event. And so that's why we need WSA to sponsor Dance Marathon. And then we're also willing to give a registration code for anyone in WSA if they want to come to our event. Sorry, I'm nannying right now and the dog is in the crate crying. So if you hear that, that is what that is. And so that's the main reason why we need budgeting. And then if you have any questions, you can always let me know. But that's kind of all I had for today. I didn't know if I needed to like present anything or have anything like specific that you needed, but I'm open to any questions that anyone has about the event or what we're asking for.
I'll just ask a real quick question. Have you sought out other sources of funding besides WSA?
Yeah, so we also have received some funding from CAB, but due to like last minute like budget cuts, because we've had some internal struggles of our leadership, and so we actually had to push our event date a month behind. And so now we're kind of like rush ordering everything just because the last person who was for our, finances had just quit basically. And so I was under the impression that she was doing all of this. And so I apologize for all this like rush stuff, but now I have to pay more money to get it in time before the event. So.
Understandable, thank you. Are there any questions in person? Raise your hand. Online, raise your hand. Virtually, I'll run the microphone around.
Yeah, I was just curious, like when your event is, where it is, and like what time?
Yeah, of course. So it is in a Sangren Plaza. So outside, like right outside, like, the big doors of Sangren Plaza. It is from 12 to 3, but registration or like coming to sign in, that starts at 11:30. So if you're anywhere on campus, you'll probably hear us. We'll be outside.
Awesome sauce. Are there other questions?
The dog doesn't have any questions. That's just him.
For those people who don't know how to do a team, can you explain how to be part of the team for Dance Marathon, please?
Yeah, of course. So I can actually send Alexis and Eric an email after this I can already create a team for you guys. So all you have to do is just click add member. And so you can do your own registration. I'll just ask you like what year you are, what team you'd be joining. So WSA, and then we'll give you a code for registration. So it has $5 off. We don't collect any of that, obviously. It all goes to the foundation. And so I'll set that up for you guys and send that an email after this meeting, just so it makes it easier for you guys and on our end.
Could you also send me that information? We can send it out to the RSOs as well.
Of course, yeah.
This meeting. Thank you. Other questions? Hearing and seeing none, then I'm going to boot you, Lauren, into a waiting room. We're just going to go into discussion and vote, and we'll pull you back in when we have a decision. All right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any discussion points on funding Dance Marathon? Charles?
I just wanted to say that I believe every time Dance Marathon does this, WSA does participate. It's really fun event. It's going for a really good cause. So highly encourage you to do it again. I personally have done it and it's been phenomenal. We also will have the team this year. Griffin is working on planning it over there with hand raise. So if you're interested, please let them know and you can get volunteer hours.
Griffin, do you have something?
Yes, I do. Yeah, like Charles said, we are doing a team for this, and I really want this partnership to happen and to continue. So, if you're interested, please let me know, because I really want this partnership to happen bad. And I really think that if we do this, if we set a fundraising goal for our team, and if we participate, I think it will. Wait, what happened? I think it will be a very good thing to happen, not only to Dance Marathon, but to WSA in general. So.
All right, Megan Higgins, go for it.
All right, so I'm actually one of the on the dream team for Dance Marathon. I'm the director of family and hospital relations. We have a lot of really fun stuff planned for this year. Our event is next Saturday, which is kind of close, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got Miracle Families coming, and it's just going to be a great time for everybody. And if we do get the funding, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there
I'm the worst. Okay, so I just wanted to say this is a fantastic program. I know it's been going on in Western campus for many of years, and I'm super excited to see it come back. I do want to let you guys know on, not to vote no, but just so you have all of the context about why they're coming to us for funding today. A few weeks ago, they requested to join the House and learn the allocations process, and we walked them through the allocations process, and then they still missed those deadlines for the allocations process. And so I understand that poor leadership can be a reason that boards don't have funding or funding opportunities, but I think that we get into really dangerous territory when we start telling boards that they don't have to go through the allocations process, that they can just come to WSA for funding when they don't do the work that all of you choose to do and choose to show up to do. So if we do vote yes, I think it's important that we iterate to them how important it is that the allocations process exists for a reason. The allocations budget is meant for things like this. The collaborations process is really meant for things that WSA is more involved in to be able to collaborate with. So that being said, I just wanted for transparency's sake, you all to know what happened behind the scenes, because I know the allocations process and the House leadership works very hard to let them know about the processes ahead of time.
John? Yeah, to just support what Alexis just rightly said right now, if we want to fund them, we should kind of emphasize that the allocation process is very important going forward, so that not some of them come last minute, and when they are rejected, then they'll quickly come over here and want to get funding for their project. So that's just what I want to say. So I'm supporting what Alexis said. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Are there other discussion points? Griffin?
I think one of my personal thoughts on a collaboration request is I personally think we should vote yes, because I think it will go toward a very good cause and with a good organization that has a good mission behind it, and I don't see why it would hurt. So I think we should vote yes on this, and I think it will be very good for the partnership we're establishing for the dance marathon as well.
Thank you, Dakota.
Sort of counter Griffin there. It's not that like we're hurt per se, but we had procedures that exist for a reason. We have an allocations team that's worked very hard to make it as accessible as possible. And I mean, it exists for a reason. Say we follow our governing documents because they govern us. We follow allocations because they govern us. And if this group doesn't go through allocations when they, or chooses not to go through allocations to come here, or whatever the deal happens to be, we're telling everyone else who's wasting their time going through that process that, oh, you don't have to. Well, not wasting their time. It's basically telling them they're wasting their time, and that like it exists for a reason. We don't want to waste anyone's time. Yeah.
Real quick question for allocations committee. Real quick question for you. Collaborations process maxes out at $3,000. What's the most they can get for event funding through allocations?
If your allocation is collaboration funding, it is 50,000.
So they're taking 1/5 of what they could get through allocations.
But I understand this collaboration process is through WSA, not allocations.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's asking if they had done it the right.
If they had gone through allocation, they would have been eligible for up to $15,000, but because they're going through allocations, they max out at $3,000.
They intended to apply for event funding, but they didn't submit. Even though like we walk them through, I would ask them, hey, do you need extra support or help? Just ask questions, and they didn't reply. And once the deadline passed, only they said, oh, why didn't you give us reminders when no other organizations?
Okay, thank you. Daniel?
I mean, I have nothing against their organization. I think it's cool. I just want to also state with just money wise, there's like 2 different pots of money. So that's why it's important for them to go through all the different steps. That's not just because we're kind of lecturing on them, but it's just, we only have so much money that I allocate for calibration requests. We have enough money. I'm just saying for, future purposes, this definitely needs to be stated that they need to go through the proper channels for money, but I'm in full support of it though.
So we're not going broke, Daniel?
So, Megan, go ahead.
I just wanted to say really quick, part of the reason it took so long is yeah, we waited way too long and we know that, but the people that we had in charge of those things just kind of yeeted right on out without letting us know. So we thought things were handled and on their way through the process. And then the next thing you know, events management out the window, overall president out the window, just one thing right after another. So yeah, we are trying. We're getting there. And next year we are going to do better.
Thank you. Alexis, your last one before we go into voting for time constraint.
All right, final thoughts. I just want to say thank you, Megan, and like your team for still persevering with this and like knowing that it's still worth putting on. Like that's incredible. Thank you.
All right, Will, you're the last one.
Hey, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a provision where we can adjust the amount they receive just for the purpose of, so they didn't meet that deadline? I think, at least in my eyes, it feels like a rushed kind of last ditch effort that kind of underwrites the entire allocations process. Is there any provision where we could provide them a lesser amount of funding for those who aren't necessarily in agreement that they deserve the full amount?
I guess I'm going to step in at this point and share my thoughts on this whole thing. There is nothing in the collaborations guidelines that says we can take their funding amount down, but there's nothing in there that says we can't either. So I will defer to Chris on that, but before Chris says anything, I would like to also remind everybody that this is not the first time this semester that an organization has come to us last minute for funding through collaborations because they missed the allocations deadline. LSA missed the deadline for International Fest, and we still granted them that funding. I know that's a slightly different circumstance.
Yes, we don't throw our hands through this one. That was the difference.
But I'm just saying, like, I think it's potentially different situation, but still same end result. And it would be, in my opinion, wrong for us to approve LSA and not Dance Marathon. Chris, do you have anything on the collaborations requests? We can alter the funding.
I'm sorry, I've been following the conversation a little bit, but what is the specific question about altering what?
So is it possible for the, Will, go ahead.
Yeah, so I completely am behind the purpose. I think the fact that this organization picked leadership that was potentially flaky is a little alarming. So I propose that maybe we lessen the amount of funding that they would qualify for rather than the 3,000 last ditch effort that they proposed. Could we adjust the amount?
So procedurally, if that's what I'm answering, you all as a legislative body could make amendments or changes to that proposal. Yes, you could do that. I have seen that from a historical precedent perspective that has happened in the past.
Thank you very much. With that being said, Charles.
And just to say this, I'm sorry to extend this. I just think that cracking down on just lackluster performance in regards to allocations requests is important to what we do as a student organization. So whether or not there was shortcomings, I think that, or whether or not there was hiccups, you could say, I think that is relevant, but I still don't think that hiccups shouldn't be addressed or that they should just be passed over or grazed over. That's my opinion, but thank you for the time.
Appreciate it. Well, I just kind of wanted to push back, I guess, a little bit on reducing their funding because at least this is my opinion, of course, but like WSA does interviews when we have our cabinet positions and we have had leadership members who haven't necessarily have been engaged throughout like my 5 years here at Western and in WSA. Like I've been on cabinet for multiple years and we do interview people. We obviously with the assumption to get the position and they are voted on under the assumption that they would be the best fit for those positions, but things happen in people's personal lives and a lot of things are out of our control. So you do fill these positions assuming they will be the best person for the role. So I don't necessarily think we should penalize them because at that time they would have been the best person, but that something happened that is out of their control. So I don't necessarily think it's right to penalize them for factors they can't control. That's just my personal.
Okay. Do you mind if I counter right now, Eric?
Please hold off. We have other questions and comments.
Absolutely.
I just have a couple clarifying questions. namely, and Chinky might be able to help with this, what RSOs are collaborating for this? And have they submitted their budget forms and everything for that? And if so, could we see them?
So collaborations process runs through me, not through allocations. Collaborations process is kind of like a one-on-one agreement between WSA and whoever is requesting funding. So it is just between Dance Marathon and us. They've already sought outside funding, but that outside funding does not play into this decision. If you'd like, I can pull up their collaboration request form if you would all like to see that.
Does it have all the other finances on there? All their external funding too?
I believe it does. I know, for example, the total amount of their event costs $6,000 and they're requesting half through WSA. I see questions and hands being raised in the thing. So, John, I'll let you go first and then I'll go to Will.
Okay, thank you. Normally what happens is that allocation committee, we don't fund fundraising. So when you are an RSO or an organization and you want funding from the allocation committee, if it's towards fundraising, we would rather direct you to go to other support from other institutions. So basically that is what we do. So if it's for fundraising, we don't fund it based on the allocation committee's rules. So I think that is what happened.
Thank you. Will?
Yeah, so I suppose I would like to see their request just to ensure that these expenses are necessary, of course, and then you know, is this the request as is right now?
Yes, this is as it was submitted.
Okay. I won't be the only one who speaks on this. What does everybody else think? And does everybody here think that this $3,000 request and this event itself can be carried out to its fullest extent by a sort of replacement leadership? Because that's what this is, right? I don't want to be insulting, but I do want to make sure I understand who is now running this event.
Lila, you can take a chance to comment.
Yeah, I guess in response to you real quick, I understand the hesitation with what's happened, but I think it's totally understandable and something that could happen to any of us. And on this collaborations process, WSA is going to be part of this event. We're sending a team. You know, we are sending that support as well. It's not just, you know, throwing money at them and saying have fun, good luck. So I think that this is a great cause. It's going to have immense impact in our local community and the community outside of us. And I think, you know, faults and all, I mean, we're all faulty. I don't know an RSO that's put on a perfect event. I think we have the responsibility to fund this if we have the money. And I don't think penalizing them for something that was kind of out of their control, it sounds like is the right move, because I don't think it's our place to judge them on that. So I guess I stand in support of funding them for the full $3,000.
Well said.
I guess due to time constraints, I'm going to cut this portion as we seem to just be going back and forth. Do you want to make a motion to amend the value or not?
If I'm the only one in the room, then I will not. I just wanted to address my concerns.
Motion to amend the value for 50% is original. 50%.
So Dakota is making.
Okay.
So Dakota is making a motion to amend the collaboration request from $3,000 down to $2,000. Is there a second?
Second.
So it's seconded. As this deals with money, we are not able to call consent.
No, sorry, Eric. We want to go into discussion and then vote. So we're in the discussion just on the amendment only, because there may be a big on just on that. Let's be careful about being redundant. So we've already made points, but we're only talking about the $2,000 amendment on the floor right now.
Thank you, Chris. I've been up since 6, so my brain's dead. Colin.
As previously stated earlier by Alexis, we were going to, with full intentions, discuss with them, telling them that they made a mistake. This is not how things should be done. I think that is setting precedent enough. We should not have to punish perfectly fine organization / event that is doing well for not only our community, but our school as well. I do not approve of doing this.
So I think our goal as a WSA is to amend and fix relationships with RSOs. You know, in the past it has been not so great. And so I get where this amendment is coming from. However, I think, like Colin said, it will make it clear that they aren't doing this the right way, and that in the future they need to do it the right way. You kind of will scare them. I think that's probably very difficult. I am against this amendment.
Sam, then you.
Hello, I am also against this amendment, just for the fact that, I mean, they made a mistake, and it wasn't like it was deliberate by any means. I mean, like they said, they had a lot of turnover, something that we can all relate to. And just at the end of the day, it's not that deep. We don't have to punish them. I mean, it's a good event for a good cause, and it's a cause that I personally believe in. It's not that deep. It's an oopsie. I mean, as long as we have this talking to, and just the fact that, you know, I know there's people in this chat that are involved in this process, and just the fact that it took so long to pass this collaboration request, I think is also important as well for them to know. Anyway, like I said, it's not that deep. I think we shouldn't have meant that. Just for context, we have $4,000 left in collaboration money, so we do have enough to fund them all for $3,000. Also, I just want to say I've done an oopsie in an allocation process, and they were graceful and funded the event. So I think we should be, especially with all the issues they had, I don't think we should tarnish an event, or at least do it to the lesser value than they were expecting it to be. So I think I'm okay with $3,000. If anything, maybe a $50, slap on the wrist. I think $50, that's okay. But a whole $1,000, that's a big difference. That could make it the event not as good as it was going to be. So, yep.
Any other discussions on the amendment of decreasing the value from 3,000 to 2,000?
Hi, me again. I saw on their budget proposal, when you pulled that up real quick, they had a lot of things that appeared to be like one-time use decorations, and I saw there was stuff in there for photo booth and stuff like that. Personally, I would be more for decorations that maybe they could reuse in coming years, and I'm not sure if you're running tight on money, if the photo booth is necessarily the greatest idea. So I just want to throw that out.
I'll just add some historical context to that too. I believe we funded the Multicultural Greek Council's 10-year celebration in fall semester. They also had a lot of one-time decorations that we spent $3,000 on. Not to say that if you're wrong, I just want to make sure that everyone has the full picture. Are there any other remarks regarding the amendment? Will, go ahead.
To that, I would just emphasize that they that if should we choose to award them this money, that we are very forward, and that we ask that the focus of this event be on the charitable purpose as opposed to just the fun of this event. That way they can spend the money how they deem fit this year, but it is definitely prioritized in years to come to be fiscally responsible, and not saying that they're not necessarily doing so this year, but just to do so in years to come, and focus on their purpose.
Thank you, Megan.
I just want to say, like, the whole purpose of our event, we are going for making sure everyone understands that all of the money fundraised is going to the children of Helen DeVos Children's Hospital and their families so that they can have an easier time transitioning into the things that they're going through. Because our event in the past has been a 12-hour event, but this year it's only 3 because that's all we really are hoping to have the funding for to be able to like hold. But the whole purpose of the event is making sure that we understand, like, as people, like what these kids are going through and what their families are going through. And then being able to hold that event and get to know some of the families that are coming is going to be a large portion of our event.
I'll just throw out there I'm stepping out of my EVP hat. I'm putting on Eric as a student hat. At the end of the day, if we do decrease the funding, who is it most likely going to hurt? And it's going to hurt the children and the families at the hospital if the event is not as big and as successful as it could be otherwise. Punishing the RSO has larger consequences than just the RSO. Are there other comments? Lila?
Can I motion to vote?
You can move the previous question.
Then I move the previous question.
Second.
So the previous question has been moved. Now, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have to go into discussion now about voting on the amendment before we even vote on the whole collaboration.
We've kind of done it both ways this semester. If the question has been called and there's no objection, that means the whole group silently, unanimously agrees that they're just ready to vote. If the actual motion was a move of the previous question, then yes, you're voting to vote, which.
So Lila, do you move the previous question or call the question?
What's the difference again?
Move the
You
previous
want to
question.
call the question first and see.
Which one's easier?
Call the question.
Call the question.
All right, Lila has called the question. Is there any objection to calling the question? No. All right, then we can move into voting. Remember, we are not voting to approve the collaboration request. We are voting on the amendment. If you're in favor of decreasing the value from $3,000 to $2,000. If you're in opposition, you're in favor of having the value remain at $3,000. So, because it deals with money, I have to take a hand count. If you are in favor of lowering the value from $3,000 to $2,000, please raise your hand either in person or online. None. If you are in favor, in opposition and want the value to remain at $3,000, please raise your hand. And 12 makes 22.
Haley has her hand raised too. We're just both here.
Haley, there's 2 people on your screen.
Haley and Megan.
What?
Haley versus
Haley and
Megan.
Megan are one screen, 2 hands raised.
Thank you. So then we're at 15 online, 15 online, 16 online, and 10 in person, which brings us to 26. The vote is 0 to 26, and that amendment has failed. Now we move back into discussion on the collaboration process as a whole on whether we want to approve the $3,000. Colin.
I call whatever motion moves this to a vote.
All right, he calls the question. Calling the question? All right, he's calling the question. Is there any opposition to moving into voting on the collaboration request as a whole? Representative Rios and String Collins, do you have opposition or are your hands still up for voting on the amendment?
Sorry, I just had my hand raised still.
All right, thank you. Serenity. I'm going to assume that she did not put her hand down. Is there any opposition to calling the question? Hearing and seeing none, we can move into calling the question. If you're in favor of approving the $3,000 collaboration request, please raise your hand. And 16 and 12 is 28 in favor. All right, hands down. Yes, thank you, Megan. Saw that, double counted. If you are in opposition of the collaboration request for $3,000, please raise your hand. Still up from previously. I see one against. All right, hands down. The vote is 28-1. The collaboration request for $3,000 has been approved. Oh, Serenity, do you have something to say?
No, sorry, I just forgot to put my hand down.
Okay, thank you. It looks like Lauren had to leave, so you can't bring her back into the room, but Megan,
I can let her know.
thank you. And I'll also send you all an email.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you.
All right, next up, we have the brown and gold provision request. Chen Kid from the Allocations Committee, please feel free to head up to the podium, present.
That's supposed to be first.
Yes.
Indian Student Association here. Are members from the Indian Student Association present?
Because they technically have to come forward and defend it first. Cool. So pretty much they're requesting for more money and they're supposed to come forward here and explain themselves. So, cricket.
Last call for Indian Student Association representatives.
We sent a reminder this morning. But I'll find it out first.
Is there a member of the Indian Student Association present?
Cool. So probably we can move forward to the next agenda. First, I'm going to send them a text, and if they don't show up in like the next 10 minutes, they get denied. Is that cool for everyone?
Yeah, they're all listed under new business, so it's not sequential.
Okay.
Thanks, Shane.
All right, next up, we have Mental Health Week spending bill, VP Pool. Feel free to take the podium and present.
Yeah, Charles.
So yeah, so this is a mental health week spending bill. I won't read the whole thing. I'll give a synopsis of it. Basically, what it's saying is starting next fall, 2022, will include a mental health fund in the WSA budget. We can use it for mental health related purposes. So this can be help for mental health week, but also various things that we want to do.
Sorry, Charles, I'm going to interrupt real quick. Can I just ask to make sure we keep side conversations to a minimum, please, especially when we have someone presenting? Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. So yeah, so for mental health related purposes, so it can be for mental health week, but it can also be for any other things that we want to do with the purpose of mental health. So basically, in this fund is asking for a recommended amount of $10,000. That is something that can be determined for the new administration, but that was just a recommended amount. And that number that I came up with was basically just because of the last 3 mental health weeks, what they have historically caused. Like this semester, I believe it's about 18,000. Last semester, I think it was about 10,000. So like we have significantly gone up in cost. But with that said though, with the budget, we should also keep seeking funding from other entities. I put that listed down there, like the Graduate Student Association and the Campus Activities Board, Office of the President, and the Division of Student Affairs. It doesn't limit us to those funding, but it's basically just a way to kind of help with that, because historically the mental health week is planned out of a cabinet member's budget. So by using that whole entire budget, they have less funds for other stuff that they could do like programs. So it's really just to help cabinet members be able to do more stuff for the campus community, and not wiping out their budget, and really help strengthen partnerships with other organizations by seeking outside funding. Because all of this shouldn't come from WSA, it should come from other sources of funding, which we have done significantly this semester. Yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there questions? Alicia?
Can I just say what I think about it?
Can you wait till discussion period? Thank you.
I got two questions real quick. One, is there a version where we can read this somewhere that's not on the screen?
Yeah, I can email that out to everyone.
All right, perfect. Thanks. I just actually real quick.
You have the link still?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want me to download and share as a file, or do you want me to share the Google link?
Share, this one you can share as a file. That one is fine. That one. Eric will send that one out as a file too.
And then my second question is, I understand the recommended $10,000. I guess out of context, Charles, what do you typically ask for in your budget when you know you're going to plan mental health week? Like, how much do you ask for in excess for your own personal budget?
Yeah, so what I did last semester, I asked for 6,500 last semester, this semester, and I will say I basically used all of that for mental health week. So I did use my whole budget, if you will, except for maybe $500, $700. I have the exact numbers if you want it, but even this semester, majority of mental health week is coming out of my budget. We did get funding from outside sources like GSA, CAB, so that has definitely offset it, but historically, the 6,500 is all been used.
Just so it has historically already come out of WSA, so it's just kind of creating a separate fund for it. Thank you so
Exactly,
much.
so it's not a positional one, it'll be like a line item, so it doesn't pull away from positional budget.
Yeah, thanks, Charles.
Sure. Good question. I think Dan.
It's more a discussion.
Griffin, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah.
Right hand here.
I'll do this way.
So I believe it was like the fifth or sixth provision of the bill that said, a mental health fund will be required for all future WSA legislature approved budgets. I was just wondering how much would that mental health fund be?
So there isn't a set amount. Part of that is because we have a whole new constitution and a whole new cabinet member. So it's a recommended amount of $10,000, but there isn't a set amount because there's other factors that we can't foresee now. So, and I don't want to restrict it to that, as well as we need to keep seeking outside funding. So if you say 10,000, I feel like that could potentially hurt us because it's going to cost a lot more, and we should keep looking for outside funding. Shouldn't just be all that. So it's just a recommended amount, but it's whatever next year's cabinet members decide. And in the budget as well, it also says the responsibility of the executive officer for student affairs to kind of determine the usage and the delegation of the mental health week fund. So I do have a provision in here to say how it would be managed appropriately as well.
Are there other questions? All right, hearing and seeing none, Charles, I'm gonna have to ask you to step out of the room as we move into discussion. And Charles locked out of WSA, never to be seen again. All right, we have discussion points on the bill. I see something in the chat. I want to check that first. Oh, have a great night, Bratislav. All right, Alicia.
All right, so in case you guys didn't know, I am both Mental Health Week co-chair and Student Affairs VP position right now. So I think my opinion is pretty credible on this. It's up to you to decide whether or not it is. But I personally do not think that this is necessary. I think that with the new constitution, Mental Health Week is already assigned to the Student Affairs position. I think that if that is the case, since that's the case, the budget for Mental Health Week should be already integrated into the Student Affairs budget because that's an expectation on them. I think that what we've seen from Mental Health Week this year is that it's grown a lot, and it's been amazing to see what our campus community will do and come together to do when we give them the opportunity. And I think that having a budget specifically for Mental Health Week is a little counterintuitive to that, because there's kind of
there's kind of a reason for that. It gives them a reason to not give us more money. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, I think it makes sense to me.
Can you
But
explain that a little bit more?
yeah, I think that, like, for example, university offices donated us money, and like in terms of those donations, why would they give us money if we already have a budget that's specifically for mental health? If it's integrated into another position's budget, you can't say that there's a mental health budget because there's not. I think WSA in general, moving forward with Mental Health Week, I see WSA as initiating the conversation, but I think that it needs to be a campus-wide effort. I think that while we were establishing Mental Health Week, it was helpful to have WSA and at the helm of it, and I think that that's still applicable, but I think that it's moving towards a more community-oriented focus. I also want to bring up the fact that Dinner for Delegates doesn't have its own budget. I know that it's not much smaller, sorry. It's a smaller scale event, but it's still a constitutionally required event. And I think that it's enough for the Mental Health Week budget to be a part of the student affairs budget. I also think that it's going to be helpful to not have this responsibility split evenly between two positions. It'll be specifically assigned to student affairs in the new constitution.
I think that's the Alexis. You said you wanted to say something earlier.
Daniel had his hand. Not me.
Oh, wasn't you? Okay, back to Daniel.
All right, I think it'd be helpful to pull up the spring 2021-22 budget. Could you pull it up?
Is it on the website?
It's in the drive. It's just, this will help back up what my statements are. So when I create the budget, right, I kind of take into account how much everyone will need to spend, right? So saying that we need now a $10,000 extra fund, it doesn't mean that we're going to have more money. It just means that now that $10,000 is going to be solely used for Mental Health Week, which depending on how much money we get in can greatly impact on what other program we want to do, which for me, I mean, honestly, I think Mental Health Week is very important, something that we definitely should do. But I think WSA doesn't need to be the one to do that. It seems more of a campus activities board thing that they should be putting more of the money into this other than WSA. I guess that's kind of what's going into it. We can see it in a hot second here when Eric pulls it up. But this year the community involvement person had 5,500, so that was Charles, and Alicia had who are you at? 2,500. So collectively they had $8,000 to work on, Mental Health Week. But a lot of people can put in their budgets because not everyone uses their budgets, right? So they can ask other people to put it in there. So I think it makes it more effective if there is no fund. And like Alicia said, it makes it so that now we can seek for more funding since there really isn't a budget. It's more like how much the person in charge wants to put into that event and how much we want it to do. So if we see it all here, so a lot of money goes into cabinet compensation, right? That's just all what we do. And also the operational budget. So basically we get $30,000 in every semester. So already in one semester, all that going to cabinet, but cabinet does a lot of work, so it makes sense. But we don't really have realistically $10,000 to work with that first semester. So the second semester is where we have more of the money to work with. So I think already taking a big portion of that just for Mental Health Week is not fair to all the RSOs and all the different things we want to do out there. But I guess that's just my looking at it through numbers and all that stuff. I think 10K is a little too much to put it as a fund if we wanted to do it as a fund. If anything, I would maybe state 5K, but that's just probably what I would.
It's a recommended amount. It doesn't. It's not mandated.
It's a recommended, but yeah. So I guess those are my 2 cents.
I also do real quick.
Okay.
Just for reference for anybody, VPFBR also has the opportunity to override requests from cabinet.
Yeah.
So even if cabinet was like, we want $10,000, the VPFBR can be like, well, realistically, you can only have 7. So that is there's a check and balance on it too.
I would also I also think it's worth mentioning. So Reading directly from the Constitution, 14.3.1.4 says, the responsibility of the executive officer for student affairs is to ensure a semesterly mental health week occurs for the student body of Western Michigan University. We wrote this with the intention that the student affairs officer would be responsible for making sure that it happened, but that they weren't responsible for the planning, the execution. They're not necessarily responsible for that. Yes, it makes sense, but if that's not where their passion lies, then they can get help from other people. So if another position wanted to help out with it, they can. I think that mandating, putting that in that provision into the bill, that student affairs is responsible for delegating the budget. That's not what the Constitution says. And it puts a lot more responsibility on student affairs than what the Constitution does.
Yeah, so I think I think the bill is neat. I think the beauty of bills and the beauty of the timing by which we're doing this is that we have a trial period. We have mental health week in the fall. We can see if a $10,000 recommended budget to student affairs works. If it doesn't work in the fall, we can change it. We can just rewrite or revise. That's the beauty of our legislative process is, or we can do it now. Daniel, do you think it should be 5,000? We can amend and see if 5,000 works, but like we can try 10,000. How much gets used? If we don't use it all, we reduce it. Like sort of like a.
Oh, they'll use it all.
Will they use it all? Have we ever considered?
For perspective, we will use that all because that is not an accurate representation of what mental health week is even this.
Yeah. This is.
So we will use all the money. My issue is not with money, it's with the fact that there will be the idea of that there's a budget for mental health. I don't think that.
You don't think there should be a budget for mental health week? Like a set amount of money?
I think it should be integrated into student affairs.
That is their cabinet budget, because everyone has their own cabinet budget. So what are you gonna do with your budget? Right? Okay.
Not yet. I don't oppose the intention or idea behind this bill. I think if we're gonna have a mental health fund, I think we shouldn't be the only ones investing in it. I think we should invest in a small portion of it, but I think it should be a campus-wide effort. I think we need to get other organizations like CAV, Graduate Student Association, Office of the President, even organizations like Alumni Association. We need to like get other organizations.
That they have to.
Oh, I know. I was just jumping in other organizations. And then also I think we need to make sure we're not spending kind of like what Dakota said. I think it needs amendment to maybe to either a smaller amount, or we can just try for another way we could utilize a budget for mental health week.
Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything on this?
Oh, I guess I don't want to say anything else to this. I was just gonna ask if we have quorum and if we can vote now.
We're already working on that.
Okay, never mind.
I guess okay.
Hi, hello.
You're done.
My suggestion would be, we're already given this whole budget process a trial run next semester. I think that something like this should be tabled until next spring. To look forward.
Next fall.
Next fall. I apologize. And in preparation for the spring semester.
So
For spring, that's not helpful. Because we don't know, we haven't even made budgets under this new constitution yet. Why are we already mandating things that should be in it?
this isn't mandating.
This should be in the new budget of the new constitution. I'm sorry.
Would the budget change in the new?
We just don't know how things are gonna work under the new constitution. So we want to get
Oh, I would say the budget would probably stay the same.
Yeah.
The budget stays the same, like at least the main budget.
I think the point is that there's so much change happening that we don't want to pile on.
Another one, yeah.
I think we should wait.
I mean, can I just add a little bit on that?
Please.
So like, for me, it'd be redundant to add that in there because it's already expected that a cabinet person is already gonna do it. So why put another fund in there? You're not getting more money. You're not getting any more money at all. You're just saying that, hey, you can, you're earmarking it. That you're just saying, now this is only for mental health week. I think it's more powerful to have it under the discretion of the vice president of whatever student affairs to put how much they want to put in the mental health.
And just to add further onto what I was saying, why are we passing bills just to pass bills? I mean, we don't even know if it's gonna work yet. Let's give it some time to breathe. All right, I'm done. Who's next?
So was that
There wasn't a motion. Even if you made a motion, you can't make one until we know if we have quorum. You can't vote.
So thanks for asking about quorum.
Half hour.
I didn't matter if we just formed
That's right.
Right now.
It's a win-win for Sam.
I mean, we also figure out for like the next stuff on the agenda.
There's only one other voting.
Yep.
Yeah, it would automatically.
It'll
go.
get tabled to that.
Technically, when you do that, it would just go into the Senate and House Commission next month.
There's one on the 20th. Oh, I'm not gonna be here. I got my final design.
I'm having a party.
I have my like secret
You're not
thing.
coming to my party?
I have my thesis, dude.
You're not coming to my party, Daniel?
Are you not coming to my thesis?
You're not coming to my party.
My thesis.
What time?
Oh, yeah.
What time?
Yeah. I like
So-
The 20th, right?
Can you tell them to stay on, please?
If you are online, please stay online. We're trying to do a quorum count.
Rio. Acosta. I think it's just Maria.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to run up against you.
Hey, while you're waiting in person, if you haven't been.
Dover.
Yeah.
Robles. Marisol.
Is it what time the poster there?
Hey,
Here, Alphonse.
I just want to say near this hotline, if you guys want, right after this, there's a candlelight vigil for Ukraine. So please come and join us. It'll be in the Sacred Hall from 7 to 9. We're going to take the candles and take them to the flagpole. There'll be some Ukrainian students that are here. It'd be cool to have your support. That's it.
Day, DDY. Raymakers, McKenna. Bosnian, Aaron, Dyer, Kyle. Natalie. Sydney Johnson, you saw, right? You did not? Twins. Zaria. Vicky, XIM. Dot, DHC. Noble, Marie. Christian Vasquez. Dave Bailey. Ritu, like I was there. RITU. No. Zendag. Should have been Cassette. Myron, Kate.
Look at my pants since I worked. It could be matcha.
DSW, Romeo. Hennessy. Hendrickson. Is it no? Akel. Ashley. Will. Simone. Lauren is gone. Abigail Ward.
I do not care.
Getson. Cole.
No, we can motion to amend the agenda. It's our agenda. I'm not voting.
Abe.
But you have to vote.
All right, we have quorum. Let's get this done.
Motion to table.
There's been a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now we need to go into discussion on the motion to table. You can call the question. Is there opposition? Does anybody want to talk about the motion to table? In all seriousness, is there any opposition?
Table next fall.
Clarification, can table the next fall.
Sorry.
We're a little dumb at this.
We know what we're doing. You're gonna just.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So the motion is to table this bill until fall 2022 semester. And is there a second?
Second.
Seconded.
Why don't you all want to vote?
Yes, now we move into discussion. Does anybody want to say anything on the? Does anybody want to say anything on the motion to table? Hearing and seeing none, move into a vote. So since we're moving to table, tabling has nothing to do with the financial aspect of the bill, just waiting on to debate it later. So for that reason, consent can be called. Is there consent on this motion? Consent has been called. Is there opposition? Anyone online? Hearing and seeing none, that motion passes and we've tabled this spending bill until the fall 2022 semester. I'm gonna get Charles back because he's the next presenter.
We just don't watch. We just look at it. We look at it like.
All right, everybody. I'm going to, since we're running short of time, graduate recognition, sure, it's still new business. Charles, are you okay with that? It'll be graduate recognition, then ISA, then you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move into graduate recognition before time runs out and while people are still here. So this is for anybody that's served any amount of time in WSA, at least as long as you spend 2 semesters, don't even have to be consecutive. And so I'm going to call up the person's name, read off which branch they've served in and their expected graduation date, and then.
Is there any more voting things to be done?
Yes, so we need to get these done before people leave.
Well, we need to vote before people leave, because I'm not doing form again.
Don't worry, this will take literally less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, very cool.
So, Juan Lahara from the House Representative graduating spring 2022. Charles Poole III, graduating spring 2022. Nuha Turkan. Sorry. Sarah Rucroft, spring 2022, House of Representatives. Dakota Shapiro, Senate and Cabinet. Alexis Morris, Cabinet, spring 2022. Matthew Pruitt, House of Representatives, spring 2022. Allison Anker, Senate, Cabinet, Judicial Council, spring 2022. Will Butner, I apologize for pronouncing it wrong, House of Representatives, spring 2022. I know he signed off with Zoom already, but Vladislav Robinson, House of Representatives, spring 2022. Nicholas Perez, Senate, spring 2022. Daniel Garrison, Representative Cabinet, spring 2022. Are there any other seniors that are graduating either this spring or summer that were unable to fill out the form but are either in person or online and would like to be recognized? Can we do it now? I know some people have to leave right away. So if you're a graduate and you have a few moments, we're just gonna go take a picture with your commencement course. All right.
Can we?
Dakota, get over
Should I motion to take the custody? Is it Alexis is going?
I'll move my
Hey! All right, we're gonna take a couple. Seniors, these sexy seniors. Right here. 3, 2, 1. Good. Stay there. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Throw up the dubs for us now. Yeah. Congratulations, y'all.
We're going to real quickly move into the ISA thing. Thank you, Shankid.
So we're gonna move this as quick as possible. Can we have the ISA reps up here to give like about 2 minutes, tell us what your operational budget increment is all about, why do you need an increment, and so on and so forth. Please, you can fire away whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, sorry for being late. So we're requesting $2,000 and like provoking the brown and gold provision because we have seen that so many ISA volunteers and our own members, we are trying to show them our like, how do I say that? Like we care for them by giving them out t-shirts with ISA emblem and WSA so they can wear it outside and like spread awareness about Indian Student Association. And the cheapest quote we got for 90 t-shirts was $1,600. That's why we are going over the operational budget. We were hoping that you guys would approve that.
Cool, awesome. So is that all, or do you guys want to add on?
No, that should be.
Okay, cool. Great. So from the Allocations Commission standpoint, we do agree and they have followed the due diligence. They actually have requested for more than a month now, and because we have been pushing around because of their constitution and so on and so forth. From Naren, who's the allocation chair, we have checked on their budget and everything, went through them with that as well. And we do support for the increment. So we do stand from our point of view that we should increase. They have actually been very active in our campus as well. They have, in fact, like any students who wants to join ISA events, can feel free to join them as well. So yeah, so that's the Allocations Commission standpoint. We can move to voting and we need to stand.
So, we move into questions and discussion first. So are there questions?
All the questions. No questions.
Back after the discussion. I just have a quick question. So what is the maximum and then how much additional are they requesting? I would look for that.
Yeah, so right now they already requested for $1,000, so it's $1,000 approved of operational budget, so they're increasing to $2,000, and that's the maximum amount.
So they're asking for an additional 1,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Are there any other questions?
We're actually asking for an additional of $850.
$850, so we get $250 leeway.
I think we're good.
Are there discussion points?
All good. All good. Yeah. Call the question now.
Yes, you can call the
Call the
question.
question.
He calls the question. Is there any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, we can go into voting. If you are in favor of approving these additional funds, please raise your hand in person and online. You can put your hands down here in person. If you are online and in favor of the additional funding, please raise your hand. Thank you. You can put your hands down. If you are in opposition of this additional funding, please raise your hand. Once again, any opposition, please raise your hand. All right, the vote count is 24-0. This additional funding has been approved for the Indian Student Association. So congratulations. All right, we can move into the next item on our agenda, which is the Mental Health Week Formal Partnerships Memorandum of Agreement.
Yay, I'm back. Back again. Guess who's back? Oh, no. You don't even read it. Thank you, sir.
All right, there you go. Floor is yours.
Perfect. So this MOA, basically, Mental Health Week has had probably like 19 plus sponsors involved with planning, partnerships from funding to promotional, to giving us resources and giveaways, etc. So basically what this MOA is doing is just kind of like announcing who we've been partnering with and formalizing those relationships in a document, because before, like technically this, there was nothing written out formally for any relationships. And I think it's important to be kind of transparent regarding who we're supporting or who's supporting us for mental health. All these people so far have basically co-sponsored this MOA, and they all agreed to list their names on these on it. I also listed Western Student Association, so if everyone's like in agreement, we could keep that there as well. I thought it was a good thing to have that is they supported on it. So we got Diane Anderson, we're waiting to hear back from Tony Proudfoot, Steve Palmer, Director of Residence Life supports this, Irma Lopez, Anthony Helms, but we just listed Irma from the Honors College supports this. Thank you, Eric. Graduate Student Association, they support this as well. We work very closely with planning a lot of our mental health week events for it, as well as Focus Kalamazoo. They are in support of this. So like I said, it's just to like formalize and be transparent regarding like you supporting mental health on campus. Part of the things that list the assets, like maybe helping out with social media, like promotional events, and it gives like a list of all the offices. It says social media, experience WMU, emails, print materials, etc. And it also just says that WSA will attempt to work with other organizations and community organizations to support mental health efforts at Michigan or Western Michigan University. Yeah. pretty simple.
Thank you very much. Are there questions?
We support.
Can we read through the bill?
Like W.
You want me to read it word for word?
No.
I want to see it, and I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I think we Gucci here. I don't know.
Also, for reference, an MOA is not a contractually binding agreement. It is basically like we promise to do this, but you can pull out at any time. You can withdraw your support at any time, Colin.
Not my problem.
All right, are there questions? Calling the previous question would be quicker.
I called the previous question.
Chris Lai says, remember that consent is sexy.
Just like you, Chris, just like you.
So Sam, just out of protocol, you can't call the question in questions, but you can do that discussion, which we're going to move into right now as nobody asked a question. Sam, do you have something to say? All right, Sam calls the question. Is there any opposition to calling the question? Hearing and seeing none, we can go into a vote. This doesn't deal with money, so we can call consent. Consent has been called. Is there any opposition? All right, this MOA has been approved. Congratulations, Charles. All right, next up, we can go into the EPC review. Speaker Shapiro and EPC co-chair, all yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. I did something I normally don't do when speaking publicly, and that's prepare. So let me open up my notes. Before I begin, I would like to say that we all should have received an email from Speaker Holzberger. That is the intent to run for, is this on? It's on. For the Speaker of the Assembly. Any and all of you, or any student can run for the Speaker, so you now can, and then we'll have an election. Look in the email, like the 11th to the 15th, something like that. I don't remember.
Contact you or I.
Contact either of the speakers, and we will.
With any questions.
With any questions, yeah. Should probably go up to you. All right, we're gonna begin. Again, I said I prepared, so there's a whole speech. Not long, hopefully. So good afternoon. This will be the final time I address you all as from an EPC standpoint, hopefully. No, it's great. Once I am finished with this report, the EPC will be considered dissolved, and all EPC members will no longer be governed by the rules of the SEC. So EPC members, you no longer have to hold in your bias. If you have been, I hope you have been. Technically, you can be removed from the WSA if you have been, so let me know.
Remove yourself.
So to start, I'd like to share some statistics with you all that are pretty neat. So according to Chris, our WSA historian, from henceforth I will be calling him the Christorian. He said that this is the first election in a very long time that he can remember that concluded without a single demerit being processed or assessed. States should be incredibly proud of themselves for not reaching that point and doing that. I would specifically like to commend the Effinger Ewing slate for setting a new bar for how slates should interact with each other. It's my understanding that they would take they took the first approach to sort of enter into a talk first, report later mentality. That is resolving issues with the other slate before going into EPC action. And the Sun Lawrence slate followed quickly suit. And so to everyone, Eric, Alicia, Shankin, and Alex, I'm incredibly proud of how you treated each other. It was, in my 2 years here, because I've only seen one other election, I haven't seen such kindness and generosity extended. So now I'll do the stuff you all want to hear. The election, this year's election garnered 562 votes. That is roughly 70 more than last year's election. Woo! Right? The election, the WSA is healing, the election is healing. COVID is hopefully a thing of the past soon. And so, because that's 11. Oh, well. Oops. Oops. The Constitution, our new one that we all ratified here, was affirmed by a 540 to 23 vote. That means it will go into effect on April 20th at the end of our joint session of the legislature. So we will have. Now on to the most interesting part of this that you guys want to know is the results of the executive election. I'm sure some of you have heard, many of you might have. I'm not sure what got around. But of the 562 votes cast, Eric Effinger and Alicia Ewing garnered 220 votes, and Chen Kid Sun and Alexander Lawrence garnered 319 votes. This makes Chen Kid Sun and Alexander Lawrence president-elect, vice president-elect for the WSA for 2022-2023. We'll ask them up here, just give an acceptance speech, whatever you want to call it. But before that, there's something else I want to address. Let's get into this half of the speech. I debated whether or not I wanted to include it, but I think I should include it because it is important. It was no question to anyone that managing this election, or any election for that matter, would be stressful. There were many late nights, frequent team meetings, and a lot of WU admin to navigate and work with. However, though I was prepared for that kind of work, nothing could have prepared me for the pure corruption that I unfortunately witnessed. I'm not referencing corruption in the political sense, but the corruption and corrosion of morals, spirit, and the mission of the WSA. Over the course of this 3-month election season, I have watched people I considered to be my friends shift in behavior. Once selfless people turned vindictive as the fate of their chosen slate was unknown. There were members of the WSA and WU community planning and gathering demeritable offenses and saving these complaints for the potential outcome of their desired slate not winning the popular vote. Let me be clear, there were people I knew and cared about planning to usurp the election to the demerit process as a means of ensuring their candidate's victory. I want to also be clear that I'm not talking about the candidates. Again, the candidates were incredibly fair to each other and nice to each other. Not one attempted to demerit. It's quite a shift from the norm. On top of the actions I just stated, I was frequently aware of individuals in and outside of the WSA spreading rumors, half-truths, and even outright lies about the candidates. Again, a number of these people were people I knew, people I considered my friends. I was disappointed to see this behavior spread so rapidly amongst empowered students who originally set out to empower students, or should I say empower students they favor. I do not know what about this election makes the beautiful personalities of the WSA turn so sour. And I'm not going to sit here and speculate about it. I'm not the one who's going to solve this problem, but it is a problem. In 1 month, this organization will reset, just how it does every year. New leadership will take over, and a clean slate will begin. This is the cyclical pattern of the WSA. We work hard so what we have done in this cycle will be passed on to the next. However, if we continue to act how we have during this election, all our triumphs, all our victories, all our hardships, and all our work will drown under our own sourness. Empowering students means empowering all students, regardless of who they are or what arbitrary role they're attempting to play. And no new constitution can fix how we treat each other, and it starts with us. With that sour note, please don't take that hard. I'm not mentioning anyone in specific. I hear a lot of things, and I hope a lot of it wasn't true. But it did sour my last few months in this organization. Sad to see people I knew. It even infected me to some degree. Anyway, with that, I'd like to give Chen Kid and Alex the opportunity to address you all. So, no.
I think you need like, there you go. There you go.
Audience. I'm gonna keep this as short as possible. We're gonna take around our time, so it's gonna be brief. So happy Western Wednesday Broncos. Alex and I are excited to announce that we will be serving as student body president and vice president for the 2022 to 2023 coming year. Our WMU was about amplifying voices, making equitable and sustainable solutions to make sure we are leaving a sustainable legacy for the future generations of Broncos. Alex and I spoke to Executive Vice President Eric and Vice President for Student Affairs Alicia shortly after receiving the results last Friday. Thank them for a well-fought race. Eric and Alicia have done amazing things for the student body. And Alex and I know that their work is far from over, and we are excited to continue to work with both of them from next year. It's time to move forward together and stand united onward for the brown and gold. With that spirit in mind, we are delighted to announce that Alicia will be serving as our Chief of Staff. Her dedication to WSA and the student body, time and time again, we believe that she's the best candidate to be in this position and bring us together. We're also happy to announce that Laila will be serving as our Chief of Finance Administration. Laila, do you want to stand up? Laila has shown dedication to the WSA and student body by serving as WSA representative for the National Gay Pilots Association and by sitting on the governing process committee over the past few months. Being one of the main drafters of a new constitution and with vast knowledge of this organization should be a key asset to our team. To those support that we have yet to earn, we may have not won your vote, but we see you and hear your voices, especially when we disagree. And we welcome you to be part of our team. To those who have doubt in our abilities and leadership, we work hard and win your trust and faith in us. To those who are cynical and fearful of this organization, let me assure you that we will work tirelessly to bring hope and unity. Alicia, Laila, Alex, and I are only 4 people, and 4 people can't change this entire organization, let alone an institution. Lend us a hand, join us, and we bring this organization to the next step to bring this committee together. To those who are interested in joining our efforts, the application to join our cabinet will be open after this meeting until April 13th, 11:59 p.m. The link will be posted, so please keep an eye for them. Just to end note, thank you to those who have supported our effort. A special shout out to our campaign team, Faith, Ali, Daniel, Piper, and Eden for working with us throughout these 2-3 months. Thank you all very much, and I'll do my best. Alex and I, Alicia, and Laila, we do our best to serve the student body. Thank you very much.
All right, that concludes the EPC review. I believe Lila would like to make a motion to strike Costco review from the agenda.
Yeah, or table it to the next House convention.
Individually or joint session?
Individually.
Okay, so there's a motion to table the Costco debrief until the next Senate and House individual meetings. Is there a second? Seconded, is there no? We need to go into questions and discussion. Are there any other questions? Any questions about it? Yeah, Colin.
Is there any way we can just do it now, whoever really cares? I
Always
get
got
4 minutes,
it.
it's just so much of my time.
There's an event at the.
We also have 4 minutes until the meeting ends. And Alexis had asked for 15 minimum, so.
We eat hard.
Are there other questions? Yeah. Are there any discussion points? Now would be a great time to call the question. Question's been called. Is there opposition? Hearing and seeing none, is there consent? Consent's been called. Is there any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, the Costco debrief has been tabled until the next respective Senate and House meetings. This time we can go into public comments and more remarks. Does anybody have anything else?
Nice to meet you. Hey, everyone. Happy Western Wednesday. I just wanted to thank all of you who came out to dinner with delegates last week. I think it was last week. Lots of things have happened between now and then, so I'm hearing. But thank you. There is another opportunity for students to tour the Student Center on Saturday for Western Weekend. The tour will take place at 2:30. I have about 8 spots open for that. So if you would like to, for those of you who weren't able to make it to dinner with delegates or the tour, you have another opportunity to tour it. So please email me or talk to me after this meeting and I can get you on the list. Thank you.
I have one real quick and then I'll start working my way around. Western Waltz RSVP is open pre-event April 16th from 7 to 10 p.m. It's kind of like a mini prom, no dress code though, so come whatever you're comfortable in wearing. So we will have hors d'oeuvres.
If you're interested in being the Dance Marathon team, come see me after the meeting.
Hi guys, Mental Health Week is next week, and I'm really excited. It's April 4th or 8th. Lots of events. They'll be on our Instagram. They'll be all over. Posters, everything. But make sure you come out, support WSA, support mental health awareness. But yes, good times. I'm really excited. You guys should be too.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Howdy. Howdy. I am pleased to announce the first annual Bronco Racing Exhibition. The Society of Automotive Engineers will be putting on a car reveal party April 23rd at 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. You can see our brand new car, the BR22, get revealed live. And we also have all of our past cars there, sort of a museum with alumni talking about them, the processes they used to build those. There will be food, there will be pulled pork, chicken, salad, you know, good food, and lots of other fun things to do. So come on out, see what we do. It'll be at Parkview, you know, take a little tour around Parkview campus. If you've been there, it's beautiful. So yeah, mark that on your calendar. April 23rd.
Hey, Chris, you're just gonna go after Sam, all right?
I'm a little bit taller than I was here last. Hello, distinguished members of the Assembly. My name is Sam Longmutt. I am a current senator representing Elite Honors College. And I am here before all of you today to announce my campaign for the first speaker of the Assembly. First, let me say how truly amazing it is to stand in front of the fine legislature this afternoon. Coming as a member of the Governing Processes Committee, it is humbling to see what we wrote in action. Looking at what each body does on its own, I can only imagine what we can do together. The sky is truly the limit for us. Since I became a senator this last September, my life has been a constant stream of ups and downs. Those who know me know the changes that have been thrown at me. Throughout all of it, the Senate has remained a home for me. I love this body with my entire heart. I love the feeling of working with the future leaders of this organization. I look around at this room, surrounded by the future leaders of the Western Student Association. I am incredibly humbled, and I feel a tremendous sense of pride. This new assembly is well new. As a body, we have a lot of precedent to set. The most major precedent I want to set is the inclusion of personal and leadership development to the agenda. As the Constitution states, the Assembly exists, quote, as a space to develop the future leaders of the Western Student Association and Western Michigan University. As Speaker, I will strive to make this text a reality. I want to include education on topics such as Google Drive for RSOs, mental health first aid, and most importantly, how to better oneself as a leader. I want to invite leaders of the executive branch to not only educate on their position, but talk about leadership through their lenses. My dream is for this body to act as a foundation for the future of the Western Student Association. As I said before, I love this body. I love the drive that I know is in this room. I can feel the potential and it excites me, and I hope that it excites you all too. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you all see the potential that I see.
Chris, you're up.
Hey, everybody. Just wanted to just thank you all for the good work that you continue to do. Yeah, just thank you for that. It was already mentioned about Western Weekend is this weekend, and there's opportunities for current students to engage and participate. Just real quickly, there's up to 59 RSOs now for the tabling portion. So probably many of you in the room might be 2 degrees of separation or actually in a part of that as well. So that's in Sangren Hall, and that's going to be right around lunchtime. Alexis might have more specific details on that, but recruiting is very important. You all have made that very clear, and so it's cool to see the university administrators step up alongside to give space for that. So there's over 300 prospective Broncos that have signed up to come, and so it should be pretty cool. So, and then at 4 o'clock in the Reed Fieldhouse is the main event, and that's kind of like a talent show of sorts of ours, so showcasing different things, and so should be pretty cool there. We've got RSOs from kind of a spectrum of things, and some athletics doing some things like that as well. So that's open to everybody, and so hopefully if you are around, you can check that out too, and hopefully it's something that is that we do for years to come, becomes a new tradition. So thanks. That's it. I yield.
Chris, we have a question for you.
Sure.
Hey, Chris, Matt Pruitt here. So we registered, but we haven't gotten any information on how it needs to work. Has that gone out yet, or do you know when that will go out?
I do not know the specifics on that. I will follow up with some of the organizers in Marcom to see. And you're talking specifically about the tabling fair, right?
Yeah, where we're going to table at, what time they want us to start setting up, things like that.
Yep. So yeah, I will follow up and let them know that there's questions on that, but there should be information coming shortly, obviously, because you need to know, final logistics and things like that. So thanks for letting me know.
So comment on Friday, College of Aviation is having their aviation outlook day. So if you guys know any aviation students or you're interested in working in aviation, come up to the airport. Starts at 10 o'clock, 10 to 2. And then 2, or I guess a week after that, so on the 8th, College of Aviation is also hosting aviation mental health event called a Talk on the Truth. Yes, Talk on the Truth. Thank you. And so we host things, presentations, having some speakers about that. So if you're interested, come out. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to throw it on the radar. I am in the process of forming a bill regarding the electric vehicle infrastructure here on campus. So if you're interested in sustainability and stuff like that, specifically on WMU's campus and everything like that, just let me know. You can find my email on the WSA page, and I'm also going to be sending some emails to be distributed with forms for you to fill out. So I hope to get as much feedback as possible.
Completely forgot about this. Dakota wanted to join me up front real quick.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Well, hello. It's Wednesday and it's the last joint session of the month. So that means that we have some representatives and senators of the month to announce. And our representative of the month for this month of March is Will Ruzian. I never say your last name right. I doubt you're even still on, but congratulations, your work with not only over the valley, but I'm really proud of it. Thank you.
Our Senator of the month.
It's quite obviously me. For his incredible dedication to our Constitution, it's obviously Sam Longley.
You guys will be getting an email from us later on with a form to fill out, and that form will have like a picture and a little bit of information that'll go to Manuka, and Manuka will get it put up on the webpage as soon as possible.
You also go on the legacy.
You'll also go to Legacy. Congratulations.
Don't fill it out. We'll find stuff about you.
Are there other oral remarks? Anybody online? Anybody in person?
The We Stand With Ukraine event is after this at 7. I'll be walking over after this if anyone wants to join me.
All right, hearing and seeing no other comments, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Is there consent? Is there any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for staying 7 minutes late. If you're in person, I'm not sure there's Jimmy John's left, but please take some.